welcome back to Laser Penguin Games. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the basic rules in Magic the Gathering, in this case playing also on Arena. I'm going to make this video because it's come to my attention that a lot of my viewers coming in to my channel from other games have checked out my Magic videos and they have no idea what is going on or what I'm doing, even if I'm explaining it's more of, I guess, a higher level through my experience. So I want to go through some of the basic rules and just explain from, I guess, I try a newer player that would know nothing about the game or what's happening. So even if you don't want to play the game or you want to try it out yourself after, you'll just know what's going on if you want to watch the videos. Alright, so let's get started with, in this video, we're going to cover the Mulligan Rule and the turn phases and steps. So, right now, I'm in a game with Sparky, the AI bot, and at the start of a Magic game, what's going to happen is it's going to randomize who is going first and who is going second. In a multiplayer game, what usually happens is it'll randomize one person as the first player, and then it'll go to the left around from that, depending on how many players there are, and it'll just go around like that. So if you're the left of the first player, then you're second player, and then so on. So it goes back around. But you'll see here we've drawn 7 cards, so after it decides this player is going first, which can be done also through dice rolling or just random number generators, depending on whatever you're using. Also on Arena, it's just going to do it itself with a random number generator. And it's going to give you your opening hand, we call it, which is your seven cards, and you're going to decide, do I want to keep this hand? Is it good enough? Do I think I can play this hand out and it'll be a very good hand, or do I think it's a bad hand and I don't want to keep it? So what happens when you don't want to keep it is you can mulligan. Now that's going to let you draw 7 new cards and keep 6 of them and put 1 back at the bottom of your deck. I'm going to do it just to show you guys, but basically what you're looking for is enough land to be able to play most of your cards. So normally you're looking for like 3 land. In this case, I want at least 1 of each color, which this hand would have been actually pretty good, but we're going to send it away just so you guys can see what the mulligan looks like. So we're going to go ahead and mulligan, and we get to see another hand here. And what happens is every time you can mulligan more than once, so you can keep mulliganing, but every time you'll draw 7 cards again, and then you have to put back an extra for every time you mulliganed. So we're going to keep this with 6. So it says right here, keep 6. If we mulligan again, we'll have to return 2. So we're going to keep this and return 1. So what we want to do here is, we'll say, we'll get rid of the Paradise Druid here.
Let's get moving.
And then that goes at the bottom of your library. So your library is your deck in this game. That's another thing. Like when they're talking about library, like what is it? It's your deck.
Let's get moving.
And then we are the one who's playing first. So what happens is when you're first, you don't draw a card on your first turn. And this is for one-on-one, I'll see. And when you're going second, your first turn you do draw the card, but I'll say the other player gets to start first. And now this is where we're going to start to bring up
it's important to take your time.
our tips and tricks. I actually have this card in Paper Magic. So this is the parts of the turn, and we're going to start with the beginning phase. So because this is our first turn, we didn't really see the untap, upkeep, or draw, so we're actually going to wait to turn 2 before we actually start doing this. that part. I can show you guys the beginning phase, but right now we've already reached phase 2, which is the main phase, our first main phase. So in your first main phase, that's when you can usually play 1 land a turn. So I'm going to play a Plains here, and then I'm going to summon a creature. So the cost of the magic card, I guess we're going to talk about that too in this video, is in the top right corner. So you can see here, right here, the little symbol, it says I need 1 Plains, or 1 white land, I call it. And then I have also forests, which are green. There's 5 different colors. But that's what I need to summon this creature, or to play any of the spells. You can see the cost here. This one is 1 white, 1 green, or 1 forest, 1 plains, and 3 of any color, or 3 colorless. And I'll explain that a bit more after. This one is 1 plains, 1 forest. And those are just our mana. So the way we get mana every turn is we're going to tap. So it means turn sideways your land, and it's going to make a mana of the color it says. So this one says it's going to make a plains. I'm going to use that to summon a creature. So we summon this, and this is a 1/1. I'm going to do another video on how creatures and their abilities work. But for now, we're just going to deal with the turns. So you can see here. Now we can actually go through the phase 1. So the beginning phase of a turn, what happens is you untap. So our land here, untapped, and then we have an upkeep step. So upkeep step, you do have a chance to use anything that's an ability at instant speed or an instant spell before you draw your card, which is step 3 on the beginning phase. So it goes untap, which will untap all your creatures, artifacts, lands, enchantments, anything that's been, I guess, tapped or turned sideways, it'll untap, unless there's something telling it not to. Then you have your upkeep, which you have to, sometimes there's upkeep costs you have to pay, which also I have none right now that we can even look at. And then also you have a chance to use abilities or cast instants before you draw. Then we draw, so I drew this forest here, and then now we're in our first main phase again. So what we can do here is, if I want to, I could play my creature here in the first main phase, or I could play it in the second main phase. So I'm gonna not play anything right now, and but the land here in phase 1 first main phase, and then we're gonna go to combat phase, which is next. So on combat phase, if it's your turn, you're going to be the one, so declare attackers. So at the beginning of the step, it is my turn, so I will be attacking. You do not attack on your opponent's turn. You can only attack on your turn. Sparky's getting a little patient with us. So I'm going to declare this Hunted Witness as an attacker. And at this point, my opponent would be able to declare blockers, but since Sparky does not have a blocker to declare right now, it's going to skip that, and it's going to go right to the combat damage step, and then the end of combat step. So at the end of combat step, certain triggers will happen. Right now, there are none because nothing's happening, but you'll see here on this creature it says when it dies, I get to make another 1/1 soldier with lifelink. So that would happen at the end, after the combat damage, if it died in combat. What happened there is our opponent played a instant speed spell.
Keep with it. You're doing great.
It costed 1 blue, and they had 1 blue, and it returned my creature to my hand. So my damage didn't go through because it went back to my hand before the combat damage step happened. But now it will end. It ended the combat step and went to my second main phase. So your second main phase is just like your first main phase, where you can play, you can summon creatures and cast sorceries only on your main phases. The rest of the cards usually you can cast at any time. So any abilities or instant speed cards you can use on your turn at any time, or on your opponent's turn at any time. So we're gonna summon this Conclave Guildmage for 1 plains and 1 forest. I'm going to tap for 1 plains and 1 forest. You can see here on the card, it says Basic Land Forest. And then here it says Basic Land Plains. Here it says Creature, Elf, Cleric. And also, don't worry about what's on the creature, the abilities and stuff right now. I'll explain more of those in our video. We're just gonna do some simple stuff here.
Got anything good
So,
over
our opponent had their turn. Obviously, they untapped their island, and they played nothing and just passed the turn. Then it came back to us. I believe if you want to be able to stop
there? We can do this.
on upkeep, because it didn't stop for us there. So some of the times you have to actually click the stop button if you want to do something on your upkeep, like cast an instant here. But here's something I advise that you do. So right away, when you're going to play on Arena at least,
I win.
I turn off all the auto functions, because they're gonna mess you up and cause some frustration, especially when you're trying to learn the game. If everything's being done for you, you're not gonna learn what's actually happening. So turn it all off, and you'll learn as you play. And if you ever want to turn any of them back on, because you feel you're comfortable enough, which I'm not, because I don't. A lot of stuff has gone wrong for me with the auto functions. Stuff will happen that you don't want to, so I advise just turning them all off. And
Gotta learn to
it'll
think.
still allow you to do some auto tapping for land if you wanted to. If not, everything will still happen anyway. So turn that stuff off. That's what I advise. Okay, so we're on our first main phase again. So I go look here. So we had the beginning phase again, the untap. So we untapped our land and our creature. We had upkeep, which we could have cast our instant or used an ability. We didn't, and it went right to draw step, and we drew another card.
Multiverse. Like,
So generally speaking here, you're always going to play your land in your first main phase, and then as a good, I guess it's a kind of a tip, what I do and a lot of maybe the better players is, when you're going to combat, you want to have your mana open, so you can play instants, and we call them combat tricks, but they're just instant speed or abilities that help you in combat. So you want to have that open, basically mana, so that your opponent knows that you basically mean business, and you could do something to alter the effect of the combat if they block you or try to respond with their own instant or ability.
this.
So generally speaking, you want to put down your summon. You want to summon your creatures in your second main phase, unless they affect your combat,
Get moving.
which you'll see some obviously special things, or they have haste. But we're not going to talk about that in a different video. But for now, generally speaking, you want to play your creatures in your second main if you're not like
We can do this.
a mono red or something, or some sort of aggro haste deck, or you're getting some other benefit. So we're going to go to our Tack Step here. So combat phase is now initiated. I'm going to declare an attacker. He's going to declare blockers now, which is none. Then we're going to go to the damage step. And we're going to do 2 damage to our opponent. I guess I can share the basics that the numbers in the bottom right corner indicate the attack power and toughness of the creature. So this one has, the left number is the attack, and the right number is the actual, I guess, the toughness, which is the health of the creature.
Ever think about the
So if that
multiverse?
number goes
Like,
to 0,
that's wild.
then that creature will die. But now we are in our second main phase here. All combat phase has
Gotta
gone
learn to
through
planes walk.
at the end of combat step, and then we have main phase number 2, which I will summon this Hunted Witness again, which is 1 power, 1 toughness, and cost of 1 planes. Now, I'm not going to use that, and I'm going to actually end my turn now. We're going to end phase, so we haven't really talked about this too much yet. So our end phase here, end of turn step. So at the end of turn, basically your opponent has the chance to cast an instant or use an ability, before the cleanup step, which takes everything off the stack and then passes it, passes the turn to another player.
I thought I saw something.
So you can see our opponent didn't really do anything there. Now they untapped, upkeep, played a land. Now they're going to play a leapfrog here. And then they played it in their first main phase, and then they're going to go to their combat step now that they have a creature in play, but it does not have haste, so nothing will happen and it'll pass the turn, because the first time you play a creature, you cannot attack with it. It's called summoning sickness, so it needs to be in play for a whole turn, so it needs to go through your opponent's turn and come back before it can actually attack. Okay, so we're going to play on our first main phase again, who went right through, untap, upkeep, and draw. So what we're going to actually do here,
keep going. You can do this.
Is attack with going to combat now. So we're past the first main phase. We're in the combat phase. We're going to declare an attacker, is Hunted Witness. Now we're not going to declare the Conclave Guildmage as an attacker because we don't want. So now he has a blocker. So we'll declare the attacker, and then he's going to declare blockers now. He does not want to block, so you don't have to block if you don't want to. And then the combat damage is going to occur. We're going to do 1. And now we're on our second main phase. And we're going to summon a creature. So I can click the autoplay here because I only have exactly the mana I need, but I'll actually tap them. So 2 planes. So we're gonna look at this. So this one needs 1 forest, 1 plains, and 3 of any color, or 3 colorless. It's actually called 3 colorless, but you can use any color. I don't know why they did it that way. Maybe they'll change it at some point, but as long as you have the 2 colors you need, you can use any other lands for the remaining. And in this case, you can see I only have 4, but the special ability on it called Convoke lets me tap a creature for the last mana I needed instead of a land. Alright, so you can see there that it did not stop during combat when our opponent attacked, right? So what happened was our opponent had a flying frog, so I could not block it basically because it had an ability that made it fly over the top of my creatures. Yeah, and this is gonna be I want to cover the creature abilities, and at our point in time I'm just kind of going through and making sure you guys understand the phases that are happening. But then our opponent just ended up passing after that. Alright, so what do we have here? That was our first main phase. We played our 1 land a turn because you're only allowed to play 1 unless you have some sort of special ability that lets you do otherwise. We're going to go to combat and we're going to attack with everything. What? And then we're going to go ahead and end our turn. So obviously what happened there, at least you can see that if you've attacked with a creature, it cannot block when your opponent's basically attacking back. I'm going to tap this down probably. That's okay. Play some more flyers. And going to combat. Going to attack. And we're going to not be... So we can't block right now because all our creatures are tapped already. And they need to be untapped to be able to block. So, cannot block even though it did not fly this turn. Okay, so now we're going to go to first main phase.
Let's get moving.
there's not much we can do. So this spell is actually instant speed, so we don't need to play it on our turn.
Let's get moving.
So what we can do, so we don't really want to trade for any of these right now. We have multiple blockers that have more stats than the guys I would attack with. So we're going to not attack here and then go to our second main and then go to end step. And then our opponent's going to play another flyer and draw a card. You can see here, I'll see it was one. Oh, again, another one. Wow. Yes. Alright, so see, this one costs 1 blue and 2 of any color. I'll see our opponent is playing only 1 color and all they have is islands. This is 1 island, 2 of anything. This is 1 island, 2 of anything. And they were able to cast them both. Now they're going to probably attack us. And we're going to play our instant speed card now. So this card in particular has 2 options on it. We're gonna take the option cost 6 to make or summon 3 elves. Okay. All right. So in this case, we might want to play a creature before on our first main phase right now, because the instant I have is affected by the number of creatures I control, which means if it's in your hand, you don't control it. It's considered spell in your hand, so it has to be in play to be considered under your control, in play on your side of the board. So we're going to play this, and I think we're going to actually put the counters on it. And then we're going to go to our Tack Step, and we're going to attack with these 4. And we'll see, we'll go to block phase now and see what our opponent does. So now we're going to see multiple blocks. So the thing our opponent didn't do is you can block multiple creatures onto the same attacker. So it's called gang blocking, and you can, so all 3 of these creatures could have blocked my bigger 4/4 here and killed it, or at least 2 of them could have. But it looks like he wants to kill my 1/1 with his 2/2 and then trade for these, and then he's going to take 4 damage that wasn't blocked. So this is the only creature that's going through that was not actually blocked right now. I had 4 attackers, and these are all going to block each other. Now what I'm going to do, because my 1/1 is going to die to this 2/2, so basically what happens is my left number will hit his right number, and his left number will hit my right number. So what I want to do here is, before the damage, so this is block phase, before the combat damage occurs, which is next now, I made my creature bigger, and it was able to kill his creature. And I guess I could have given it trample as well there, but I did not. So I'll live with that. So I could have activated an ability here, which would have been trample, but that would have also been more confusing, since I'm not really talking about abilities right now. I'm just trying to go through a game and go through the steps. Okay, so I'll see right now we're on our opponent's turn again, and our opponent is down to 1 creature that flies. They're going to go to their combat phase, and they're going to attack and just leave their life points wide open. And we're just going to not block because we still have 13 life. I guess I should explain that as well, the way you can win the game. That also can be complicated, so there we go. Maybe I'll do this for fun. No, we don't need to. That's just more complicated. Alright, let's just attack and see if we can kill our opponent here. You got me. Also, we lowered our opponent's health there below 0, and both players started at 20 for this 1v1 regular format. And we came up with the victory. There are different ways to win than reducing your opponent to 0 life, but for now we're just going to focus on that victory condition. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, maybe learned something. If you have any questions about the Mulligan Rule or the parts of the turn, leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next Magic tutorial video. Hello everyone who made it to the end of the video. This is Laser Pen Games, reminding you to smash that like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps out. And if you're looking for even more content, check out my Patreon here, where I post exclusive video content every month, and you'll have access to all of that.